Hi there, I'm Brian.
I've been a creative director, narrative director, animation director, lead writer, storyboard artist, animator, character designer, teacher, and now I'd love to talk story with you.
We've discussed how Colonel Kilgore has plot armor based on his insanity, and I believe that most audiences in 1979 were aware of this. But over the years, Kilgore's awesome 11-minute turn in the film has led to some misunderstandings, which I think we gotta clean up. This guy strutting around the battlefield with no shirt has caused some people to think that he's a badass. The fact that he's not afraid of bullets and explosions makes him seem impressive, right? Everybody else is ducking and he's just looking around. But he's only badass if you're not hooked into the fact that he's completely crazy and he is protected by plot armor. Again, the film actually tells us that.
He was one of those guys that had that weird light around him. You just knew he wasn't going to get so much as a scratch here.
In reality, Shirtless McGee here is protected by his insanity plot armor. The real badass in this movie is the guy in the middle, Captain Willard, an assassin, a special operator who's seen a lot of death. Willard knows he can die, and he acts accordingly. That's because he's not crazy, at least not yet in the story. But he's certainly a lot braver and more dangerous than Colonel Kilgore, although I would like to make it very clear that I'm not saying he's an admirable person or a good guy, but he is certainly more dangerous and more of a badass, which we are currently treating agnostic of morality. So why is this important? Is this just a side rant? No, there's a good reason to understand. There's actually three. The first is that when you imbue a character with some kind of extreme trait to make a point, it can be easily misunderstood. A character like Tyler Durden, who is just completely full of ends up being misunderstood and people think he's cool. I've had to re-record this video because I went off on a tangent on the first version of it. I've realized that's a whole series I need to make. So I will make a series of videos about characters who are misunderstood. But the short version for now is that a character with an extreme trait like plot armor or being full of satire can be completely misunderstood and misinterpreted. So you as the storyteller need to be aware of that. And you need to try to modulate your presentation to minimize that. Now, a truism of storytelling is that people will always bring themselves to your story, and so you can't control how they take things. And if they are really determined to misinterpret what you're trying to do, they will. But you can influence it. You can be aware of the sort of steps that people will take mentally from a character and see if you can try to gently guide them in the right direction. The second is that, as always in game narrative, you have to collaborate, and you'll find yourself in meetings with teammates who don't have a story background but still have opinions, as they should. It's collaboration. And so we've talked about how, if you are presenting an idea that might be like, Cyril Karn during the Gorman Massacre, standing in the middle of a place where he should get shot and not getting shot because he's got temporary plot armor, and a teammate will go, oh, this is plot armor and that's bad. You need to be able to explain how you're using it, why it's good, and you need to be able to give examples. And so some of your examples may run into, like if you use Colonel Kilgore, one of your teammates may say, well, he's not crazy, he's just a badass, right? So you need to be able to engage with that topic and be ready for it. Walking around as if you can't be shot when you can be shot is not badass. And of course, Kilgore actually can't be shot because he's crazy, not because he's badass. Being badass does not stop bullets, is the short version. And that kind of leads us to our third point, which is related to the plot armor issue, but is also just a general note and kind of my rant about the depictions of badassery in film. I think that Kilgore is the genesis of a lot of really bad depictions of badassery. After Apocalypse Now, carried through the 90s, early 2000s, it might even still be going, where like someone's walking away from a big explosion and it goes off and they don't flinch because they're badass. But if you don't seem to understand that you can die, then you're not badass. You're either dumb or crazy or both. And so just as a storyteller, that drives me crazy. And, I think if you watch Apocalypse Now, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely must. And if you haven't seen it in the last 5 or 10 years, go rewatch it. It is one of the best depictions of a real badass. Again, a morally reprehensible badass, but a badass. And that is Captain Willard. He is dangerous. He only uses violence when he needs to, but when he needs to, he does it unhesitatingly. There's no swagger. There's no attempt to impress others, how tough he is. He's not going to walk around a battle shirtless. But what's especially scary about him, it's just brilliant depiction of a badass, dangerous person, is that he's always watching. Every situation that you see him in, he's always observing and watching. He's wary, his guard is up. He takes cover, he hides behind things. He's aware of what's going on around him, and he's always ready because he's always on guard. And that tells you that he is very dangerous. So if you're gonna try to depict a badass in your story, consider that. There are other ways to do it, but having someone act unafraid is not the one. It's almost trite to say it, but real badasses sort of are people who feel fear and do it anyway. People who just aren't afraid are dumb or crazy. That's my take on Kilgore and plot armor. That's all for now. I'll see you on the next one.